I'm going to tell you this right up front. Um, Most of the stuff on entrepreneurship and business that's in popular press um, is a load of horse crap, to be honest. I think that there is a lot of misnomers and a lot of people sort of selling you towards the idea of success. And I think that there is a tremendous amount, I've talked about this before, but there's a tremendous amount of pushing of the idea that if you just do this one little trick, then all of a sudden everything sort of clicks. And frankly, that's not how life works. And I think we need to reflect on this and be very cognizant of the fact that it's a slow grind. So, if you don't know me, I am Professor Dave Massack. I'm an associate professor of innovation strategy and entrepreneurship. And I created the whole Reciprocity Project to give back as much as I possibly can. There's so many people that help me out that I want to pay the favor forward to help you out. There is never going to be one thing that clicks and everything just changes. And if you do find that one thing for you, there's two things that are going to happen. It's going to be temporary, it's going to be only for a little bit, or it's only going to be very specific to you, and it's not going to be very you can't replicate it across the marketplace. Now, why isn't the case? You have to think about just simple logic here in terms of rules for riches. That if it was easy to replicate, if everybody knew, if you knew that one little tiny secret and all of a sudden you made a bunch of money or you were very successful or you became well known, um, that sort of one little thing that is preached in all of the popular press, all of the business press, all right. So sorry about that. I I wanted to come back to the idea of what I was just talking about, that there's no rules for riches, and you just simply have to think about the logic of this. If it was really easy for everybody to acquire a simple rule, or if you just passed on a simple rule, you read some blog post that had the ten top things to change your business and make it successful, and you just follow those 10 top things, well, that would make it such that everybody else can follow that exact same thing, and everybody else in your space is going to be doing the same thing, and they're going to outcompete, or they're going to compete the same way, and then they're going to make all of the profits within that sector disappear, because you're all doing the same behaviors, and it's really easy to copy those particular things. Um, Another sort of thing that you might think about is, why is it so challenging to not replicate something over, across different sectors, for example. Now, you do learn. I'm not discounting that at all. There are lessons learned in all those kind of things, but it's hard to replicate in certain areas, or across, different domains. And the reason is it's unique to that context, right? So you might figure out, I can make all this money with Facebook ads, or I can make all this money with Google ads if I do this one little trick. And then you do it, and you sort of have that sort of secret. But then when you go to transfer that to a different domain, maybe you start up a different business, and you try to transfer it to a different domain, it doesn't transfer very well because you have a different audience. It might be 5 years down the road, and how Facebook works, for example, has changed. People distrust Facebook now compared to what they used to 5, 10 years ago. All of those different things matter in terms of whether you can replicate the same results and do the same thing. So you have to be very skeptical of these sort of rules for riches kind of thing, where people say you just have to do this and everything kind of works. Um, in fact, that's not typically how this stuff works. What happens is that it's a really long, slow grind where you're um, negotiating the problem is probably a good word for it, where it's not that, the first first thing that you have to do is realize what that problem is, and discovering and thinking about what a problem is actually a really tough thing. I mean, it seems easy to be like, oh, just solve a problem. Well, the vast majority of the time, you haven't got a clue what that problem is. You're unclear. What is the thing that you should be doing? Is it, you know, with an entrepreneurial venture, is it a marketing problem that you have? Do you have the wrong audience? Is it, the product or service that you have? Is it not sort of functioning in the way that you thought? Is it, um, you know, is it a matter of the people that you have on board? Are they not sort of seeing it? All of those different things are important pieces to the puzzle that are not like a single thing, and they all are interchanged. If you change something to do with marketing, for example, and you market to a different audience, well, then that means you probably have to change the product to fit that particular thing. Or, the individuals might not be pleased that are working with it, might not be pleased, and they end up leaving because you're marketing to a different group. All of those things all matter, and they are all intertwined. And so coming up with the problem itself is not clear. It never is clear. And so knowing what to choose, what to do, and then coming up with a solution in response to that it's a challenge for everybody. But the thing that I do know that works, this is the only rules for riches that I know, is that you persist and you keep solving problems repeatedly. And that is fundamentally some sort of a learning process that happens. Now, is the lessons that you learn, are they permanent? Probably not. They probably change, they disappear, you forget them, they're no longer relevant, all those kind of things. However, the function of continuing to act, to solve problems, to do things, to know that there are problems and persisting on it, knowing that it's imperfect, but it does get better. All of those things are so critically important to the process. And that's the only thing. Like, after years and years and years of looking at this kind of stuff, it's the only thing that I can recommend. It's just to keep going, keep plugging along with the thing that you're working on. um, no, it's not going to be perfect. It's never perfect. It's never going to be refined perfectly. Because, why? Because you might refine it perfectly to an audience, right? And your audience is one, and they might understand it completely and get it. But then you change your audience, or your audience grows, and now all of a sudden you've got, 1,000 people, and 1,000 people. I mean, people are weird, and like, they really are weird. They're really heterogeneous. They're very different, and so you really have to figure out, okay, how do I optimally please all of these individuals that have all of these unique differences and preferences, and that's not clear for anybody. Um, so what I would say is that the only thing that you do is you keep moving along, keep solving problems, and you just hope like heck something happens. And that's, can I promise something is going to happen? And can I promise it'll become successful? No, you can't promise that, but you have a better chance of getting that unlock if you keep persisting and you keep pushing at this thing than just simply giving up. And that's the only thing that I can say. And the other thing that I wanted to point out too is humans are really bad. In fact, machines are really bad at sort of predicting the future too. And we tend to have a prediction that is very linear and very short-term focused. That's just the natural. There's a ton of research on it's called bounded rationality by Herbert Simon. He came up with this idea and won the Nobel Prize on it. We just can't simply see the future very well. We just don't have enough information at our fingertips, and we never will. And machines will never will. So we can't see that very well. So we're really bad at predicting the future. But what I do know is that things go in an exponential scale typically, and we think linearly and in the short term. So it could either get massively worse for you with the thing that you're working on, or massively better, and you just don't know what it is. And so it's a lot about thinking of how can you take advantage of those opportunities when they're there. And the only way that you can take advantage of opportunities is by being in the right situation at the right time and just continuing to persist at the thing that you're doing. And then hopefully that there's some sort of unlock in the future. So that's it. That's all I can tell you at this moment, is just keep going, keep persisting. You can do this. I know you can. And there's a lot ahead yet, a lot of work ahead, but you've already done a lot at this moment. So just keep it up, keep doing the good work. Good things will come. And that's it. All right, take care and have a wonderful day.